Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I was doing a little cleaning house on my computer and going through some of my old articles, and this one's not that old. It's from June 19th, but it's a good one to cover. It's the last old article I have left in the queue, and then I'm going to be back on new stuff. So it says, new Scarlett Johansson female buddy comedy, Rough Night flops. Was it too anti-male? You know, Heat Street, they do a lot of really good articles. And then occasionally, they'll have a horrible one. But, you know, I'm really starting to like Heat Street. It says, last week people were reckoning that the new raunchy comedy Rough Night would revolutionize Hollywood. How many times have we heard that before? Usually if you're trying to revolutionize Hollywood, you're doing it wrong. But we'll see. After all, the movie, which stars Scarlett Johansson, huge name actor, Kate McKinnon, which a lot of people I don't think would know her, but some would. She's from Saturday Night Live, and she did Finding Dory and some of those animated films, and she was also in the new Ghostbuster. So she's been in some big stuff, but her face hasn't always been out there. Jillian Bell and Joe Kravitz is the first R-rated comedy in almost 20 years to be directed by a woman. Oh God, gotta get that in. It's a big deal that's directed by a woman. Lucia Aniello, I have no clue how to say that. Best known for directing Broad City. So its success counted for a good deal. But that was then. Rough Night has wound up commercially comatose, taking just 8.1 million from over 3,000 movie theaters over the weekend at the US box office. The movie about a bachelorette party in Miami that spirals out of control when one of their party accidentally kills a male stripper limped into 8th place in the US top 10 and was even beaten by the Mandy Moore shark movie 47 meters down. Now, just to show you, so the budget for this film, as you can see, it is Rough Night. It's the budget was $20 million. Okay. And from what I've heard in the past, looking at this kind of stuff and reading articles about it, I've heard some general rules of thumb are they generally want to get their money back while it's in theaters, and then that way whatever they make outside of the theater is profit. And they also, like, a really successful movie, like a crazy successful movie, will make its budget back in the first weekend. But you can't really expect that. You just, like, all you're really hoping for is to make your budget back in the life of the theater. Well, worldwide, in total it made 16 million. And that's foreign, that's everything. That's the entire lifetime that's been in the theaters. It actually only made almost 12 million domestic, not quite, and 4 million foreign. And if you look at these rankings, they're horrible. Like, it made, so $8 million is not very much opening weekend, but I mean, at least it's something, you know. But then you say, okay, from opening weekend to the rest of its time in theaters, it made less than $4 million. That is horrible, you know, domestically. And that might include foreign, but whatever. So the ranks, if you look at these ranks, they're so bad. Like, comedy, dark black, that is not a big genre. Comedy, R-rated youth, also a little bigger, but still not a huge genre. Rank 39 and rank 68. On the charts, 4,212 all-time domestic. Within the last year, it's top movies 128th. Opening weeks 2,145. Opening weekends 2,279. Opening weeks adjusted 3,050. Opening weekends adjusted 3,241. I mean, nothing about this was good. So it was a complete failure. But it says, now that it has flopped, Rough Night. So why did it flop? That's a good question. Now that it has flopped, Rough Night's lasting legacy will be as a cautionary tale. But I don't know about that. I think you underestimate the stupidity of Hollywood sometimes when they're trying to push politics over good movies. When they want to do good movies and they're doing it to put out a good movie, Hollywood does a great job. When they're pushing politics, they do horribly, unbelievably bad. I could take an average person off the street to give like a general story, and it would be better than a Hollywood movie when it comes to politics. But the inquest into why it has bombed is only just beginning. The movie's official Twitter handle claims the film critics are... Please tell me that... I read this a while ago, so I don't remember the entire article, but please tell me that it's, because of misogyny. That would be hilarious. So the Twitter handle claims the film critics are saying Rough Night is funnier than The Hangover and Bridesmaids. I doubt that. There was one critic from Elle who thought that... yeah, okay, because critics aren't extremely biased, right? I remember the film The Red Pill, and like it had all kinds of negative reviews before the film even came out, and there were film critics who like viewed it negatively, who gave it negative critiques before even seeing it, and then there were people who did see it, like film critics who did see it and gave it negative reviews based on like like it said even right in their view it was extremely political. And you're not supposed to critique a movie based on if you agree with the politics or not. So it just shows that these critics are extremely biased, and you should never listen to these stupid film critics. They're just like ridiculous these days. Or if you are gonna listen to one, like find one that you really like that you can trust. So it says the movie had just a 50% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and was given a rough ride by film critics. Oh, and by the way, about The Red Pill, it's like gotten, ever since it came out, it's gotten crazy good reviews, but it's just like initially there were some bad ones. And then, people actually saw it. So the movie was ultimately doomed because it's fundamentally not funny enough to attract a large audience. For Johansson, just a few months after the flop of Ghost in a Shell is particularly galling. And there was also like Ghostbusters, which like Ghostbusters ended up doing okay, but that like they put a lot of money into that movie and it really should have done better than it did. But that was another one. They're just like man-hating like feminist movies. Rough Night might have been overwhelmingly female-centric, but many women made their feelings known on social media about their unease with the movie's plotline, which involves a male stripper dying in a cocaine and booze-fueled accident being played for laughs. And nobody likes it. Like, men wouldn't like to see this movie, so and it's not intended for men, but right away you're cutting off like half your potential audience. Well, and children aren't going to go see this movie as it's rated R, and then so you're depending only on women adults, and that's a tough one to sell because a lot of women don't like. First of all, you're pretty much cutting out most conservative women, so now you're down to liberal women or progressive women, and even a lot of them like. Just the way they're acting and stuff, it's not appealing to a lot of women. Even like they're just it's just like dirty humor. It's not funny. There's nothing special about it. And like, who wants to go see women going and doing drugs and like partying like they're 20 when they're 40 or 30? kind of stupid. And then going and killing some male stripper. Like, this isn't funny. This is like The Hangover done badly. Very badly. In addition to women being horrified by the financial fate of a stripper, some movie insiders believe the male comedic audience was alienated by Rough Night's relentless made-by-women for women message. The way they word it. Relentless made-by-women for women message. This never works. Like, this is what feminists don't get. You know, they say, oh, every movie is is for males and all that kind of stuff. Most movies aren't actually made for males. You can make arguments about how, males can pretty much enjoy any movie. But despite, besides, romances aren't really for men, but women kind of drag men to them anyways. But overall, I think feminists see pretty much any movie as being for men inherently, That's kind of one of their arguments for white people and for men. And women and minorities are kind of like an afterthought. But the thing is, those movies are written to be movies, and whoever likes them likes them. When you're saying, oh, this is a movie by women for women, with a feminine message, you're just forcing it down their throat, and it doesn't make for a good story, and that's what people push back against. And so women are going to push back against this. And not to mention, like I said, you need a good movie to succeed. And this whole narrative of, oh, we're doing it, do it for the sisterhood, that's the wrong reason to make a movie, and it leads to a bad movie inherently. You would have the thought Sony, which released the movie, would have learned the lesson from the last year's Ghostbusters fiasco. I feel sorry for what's her name that was in Kate McKinnon, because she was in Ghostbusters and this movie. But no, director Anilio repeatedly spoke about the film as if it were more an exercise in redressing gender and inequality than a work of entertainment. She told Vanity Fair, "Our youngest selves were told boys are more important." That's not... No, you weren't. That's just a stupid narrative that you're making up. In fact, I mean, obviously it depends on your age, but especially the people growing up now, the 20-year-olds now, the 20-year-old women now have done nothing but get propped up. Oh, you're women, you're girls, we're gonna give you all this special treatment, and we're gonna congratulate you for doing good stuff because you're women. And I can't remember the last time I was complimented where it was oh, you did something great, and it's even better because you're a boy, or it's even better because you're a man. Growing up, I never had that. I was either successful and it was oh, you're great because you are successful, or I didn't get a compliment, I got some criticism on how to improve. But it seems a lot of women and girls, they get propped up. Just their success goes towards oh, you did something for the sisterhood, and even if you got second place, you're breaking those barriers, Hillary Clinton. She may have lost presidency, but she's breaking those barriers. It's just ridiculous that a lot of feminists just don't, especially feminist women, don't have any idea how many privileges they have in the way that they define male privilege. If they turned it on women and actually looked for female privilege, they would find a lot of it. Of course, men and women have quote-unquote privileges in different ways. But While speaking to Business Insider, Anelia commented about the fact that she was the first woman to be directing a high-profile R-rated comedy since 1998. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It really doesn't. Nobody cares. The fact it doesn't, because it's not going to make your movie better or worse. The fact that there's this additional curse thing that has been broken. No, there's no curse. This is a terrible message to give women. Like, don't make a movie because you'll be cursed if you're a woman. That's what this tells people. And the curse wasn't broken just because you made this movie, especially because it flopped. I just hope in some, if there was a curse, I should say, because there isn't. I just hope in some small way, if this movie is able to pave the way for anybody else to make an R comedy by women for women, then I think it's done its job. Well, I think it failed. This movie isn't going to open things up for women all of a sudden. Like, women could already make movies if they wanted to. Part of the problem is, like, women like you keep trying to make movies by women for women with a feminist narrative, and it makes for shitty movies that lose money, and then investors don't want to invest in more, shitty movies. And there's been a whole generation of women, effectively, that have grown up with, or girls that have grown up with this feminist propaganda, and they feel like they not only have to, be successful as a woman, but they have to contribute to the sisterhood. And it's very damaging. Far from doing its job, Rough Night may have set the celluloid comedy sisterhood movement back several years. Exactly. This is so moral of the story. It's got some pretty big actors, but it's don't waste your money. That's all I have for now. I love watching these movies flop, because movies should be made not for political agenda reasons, and not to make, a woman the first woman ever to do something. They should be made to be good movies, and then the rest will come. You don't play football to make history. You play football to win, and through your winning and through your being the best you can be, records will be set. So have a good one, guys.